Good afternoon, guys. In this video, we're going to take a little walking tour of some residential neighborhoods in Spokane, just to give you an idea of how the city looks. Maybe you're thinking about moving here, or maybe you just want to take a little relaxing afternoon stroll with me. I'm starting this walk in Corbin Park. I'm starting here because this is a pretty firmly middle-class neighborhood. Houses here cost around $350,000 to $450,000. The median home price in Spokane is $430,000 currently. Home prices here have gone up a lot in recent years. I believe they've doubled since 2018. This is a pretty historic neighborhood. I think most of the houses around here were built in the maybe 1910s, 1920s, maybe even older. I don't know what this architectural style is. You can let me know in the comments. Is it a craftsman? Possibly, I don't know. That almost looks like Victorian or something. I don't know. I don't think it's that old though. I love those big wraparound porches. I don't know why they don't build houses with those anymore. It's a nice extra living space. I grew up in Spokane. I lived here for about 20 years of my life. I spent about 8 years living in Southern California and 3 years living abroad. Then I moved back here about a year ago. I never really liked it here as a kid. I always wanted to live in a big city. But I've grown to appreciate it a lot more as I've gotten older. So far I think I've traveled to around 70 countries. And I've noticed that the more I travel, the more I grow to appreciate the US. Now we're entering a neighborhood that's maybe a little bit more lower middle class. Neighborhoods can change pretty quickly here. One block might be full of large, old homes that are extremely well maintained. And if you walk a block or two, you can end up in a street with small houses that are just a little bit less well maintained. Homes in this type of neighborhood probably sell for around $250,000 to $300,000. That's on the lower end for homes in Spokane. Anything selling for less than $250,000 will either be in a bad neighborhood or it will need a lot of work, or maybe both. It's crazy to think how expensive these small homes have gotten. About a decade ago, these would all have sold for probably $90,000 to $120,000. These days they cost at least $250,000. Some are substantially more expensive, the larger ones. I remember about 20 years ago when I was a kid, my parents bought a house for around $150,000. That was a nice mid-sized family home in a pretty good area. Now the house probably costs well over $400,000. Personally, I think houses are overpriced here at this point. It's not a super desirable city. There's also plenty of space. Like, there's no shortage of land to develop around here. It's kind of a shame that houses have basically been turned into financial instruments rather than shelter. You can see it's mostly single-family homes here, detached single-family. There are some apartment complexes sprinkled throughout. There's one over there, small, maybe that's a, I don't know, 6-plex, 8-plex. something like that. There are more and more multi-unit buildings going up, but the majority of homes in Spokane are single-family detached homes. Spokane's not a terrible city. It gets a bit of a bad rap, but it's not so bad. Even though this neighborhood doesn't look all that nice, it's still a safe place to live. Spokane doesn't have any really dangerous neighborhoods. You can wander around here without having to worry about getting mugged or anything like that. There are some areas downtown that feel pretty sketchy, just due to homelessness. But yeah, it's not a violent city. Now we're coming to Monroe. This is a major street in Spokane, running north to south. Lots of little shops and stuff along here. Vintage stores, specialty shops, antique stores, restaurants, bars. You can see gas right now is $3.89 a gallon for regular, $4.19 for diesel. Gas is pretty expensive in Washington State because there's a high gas tax here. Let's see if I can cross. The economy here is not that great right now. I used to get my hair cut at this barber shop here when I was a kid. This place was open for like 70 years, and it went out of business last year. That seafood place also went under a couple of years ago. There are a lot of green spaces in Spokane. Pretty much every neighborhood has a park like this. You're never more than half a mile or so from a decent city park. There are a lot of small homes like this around Spokane, built probably after the war, maybe 50s or even the 60s. It's crazy to think how expensive these small homes have gotten. About 10 years ago, most of these houses would have sold for like $90,000 to $120,000. Now they're all worth more than $250,000. Some are worth substantially more. That one's got a nice garden, a couple of greenhouses there. There aren't any really bad neighborhoods in Spokane, I wouldn't say. Like there's not really anywhere you have to worry about getting mugged or anything like that. You can pretty much roam around wherever. One problem that does exist here is property crime. so you won't want to leave anything out. You won't want to leave your doors open or unlocked, rather. Stuff will get stolen. Porch piracy is a problem. There's downtown over there. Not a super impressive skyline, but there is some pretty interesting architecture in downtown Spokane. Most of the buildings were burnt up in a fire I believe in the 1910s, and they were rebuilt with brick and rock buildings. They're actually pretty extravagant for the time. Spokane was a fairly wealthy city due to mining in that era. You can see the trees are also starting to get green. It's springtime now. It's a pretty picturesque city. There's a pretty big homeless problem in Spokane, unfortunately. They mostly stick to downtown and the surrounding areas because that's where most of the shelters are. Open drug use is also an issue. Homelessness has pretty much ruined downtown at this point, I would say. The problem is the people are allowed to camp on the streets. Even though it's illegal, it's just not strictly enforced. It's kind of a shame. The city has been trying to revitalize downtown, but it just hasn't been working. It's kind of mixed in terms of how well homes are maintained around this city. You'll see some that are just immaculate, and right next door they're overgrown. Now we're coming to a little bit nicer neighborhood. The houses in this area are all really well maintained. This area is still middle class, I would say. In the nicest neighborhoods in the city, the houses go for about $800,000 to $1.2 million. These around here aren't quite that expensive. They're still nice though. There aren't really any extremely wealthy neighborhoods in Spokane. The wealthiest people would be likely to live outside the city center, on the edge of the city, on acreage. There are plenty of nice houses in town here, but nothing super extravagant. Most of Spokane isn't super dense. Right now I'm in the northern part of the city. You'll see there's just a big empty park here. Not too many houses. The street isn't even paved. Hopefully this video has given you an idea of what Spokane's residential streets look like. If you've enjoyed this little walk, please like and subscribe. That'll help me out. I've got more Spokane walking tours in the works. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.